11:30 on Wednesday, at least for me, right? Hopefully everyone is doing well. Hopefully you're having a good day and making some awesome, amazing stuff out there, because I know you are. Hold on, let me just tweak some little settings here. Brighten me up a little bit. Okay. Hopefully everyone's doing good. Just as usual, just a couple little thumbs up in the chat. Let me know how audio and video is doing good. Mr. Cole, Mr. Workman are in the house. How's it going? Excellent. Rion, Chris Powers is in the house as well. Marin, thank you very much for coming. It's still just flabbergasts me how I can just be in my house and live stream to everywhere in the world. It's crazy. And yeah, a lot of fun. Dom, thanks for coming on, bud. I appreciate it. So today what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be learning how to copy some websites, right? Now, to be honest, I'm actually not going to be spending much time in RapidWeaver itself, okay? We're just going to be looking at a bunch of websites, and I'm going to teach you how to just see a site and be like, hey, I know how to do that, right? Now, a lot of you have submitted some websites to me, so thank you very much. We'll be looking at everyone's website that got submitted to me, and obviously I threw in some of my own that I've kind of just been bookmarking to look at in the future. So yeah, we're going to be looking at a bunch of websites today. I might do a little bit in RapidWeaver, but mostly we're just going to be looking at websites and just talking about how things could potentially be done, right? It's not about how to use RapidWeaver here. It's about how to look at a site and just dissect it, right? And you'll probably see that a lot of the sites that we're going to look at today are very simple. Like there's nothing like crazy complex about them. They're not busy. They're plain and they're simple, and there's a lot of empty space, and a lot of it has to do with imagery as well. So we'll definitely be going through that. Now, obviously, if there's any questions, that you have throughout the thing, or you want to submit a website on the fly and you want me to kind of look at it, yeah, let me know, and we'll go through it and I'll add it to the list. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Some of you may recognize a lot of the sites that we've seen. Maybe a few. I handpicked maybe a couple that are actually made by some of you guys out there. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So without further ado, you don't want to hear me talking anymore, or at least you don't want to see my face anymore. We want to look at some websites. Hey, Erwin, how's it going, bud? Thanks for coming in today. Okay, let's go and bring up some websites. Hold on a second. Let's just start new. Okay. So the first site we're going to be looking at today was actually submitted by Matthias, and I believe he's going to be having to replicate this site pretty soon. Based on the fave icon of this site, I believe it is done in WordPress. And he's going to have to be doing this site inside RapidWeaver. So without further ado, here is a site, and we're going to analyze this, right? Nice looking website. Lots very, very blue. It's very blue. I don't want to get too much into design critique here, but I would definitely add some more contrasting colors here. It is very blue site. A lot of it's not horribly done. I do think some accent colors other than blue would be nice. Obviously, there are some accent colors in these images which make up for a little bit of it, but yeah. So what can we do with this site? How would we analyze this site, and how would we build this going forward in RapidWeaver? This is actually a really simple one, I think. Especially if you're using something like Foundation 6. A lot of the sites I'll probably talk, hopefully a lot of you are using Foundation 6. I might be referencing various Foundation 6 stacks or other stacks that I own. I'm just going to be throwing out ideas out there. You could probably build a lot of these sites in most stack frameworks, though. Okay. So up at the top here, so this banner image, obviously, we're going to see this a lot across a lot of sites, right? So maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more at length here. So obviously this is a banner. It has a slider component to it. right? So you can kind of navigate to the various images. However, I mean, I think some of this details of like seeing the image, I mean, it's kind of unnecessary, right? And then every time the slide animates, this data, or the site title essentially animates as well. I don't think that's needed, right? So I think perfect candidate, if you want a slider, that's fine up there. Well, this image is horrible because yeah, that one, it covers the white text, right? So, but here you just need something like impact. I think this is a perfect use case for impact. I'm sure a lot of you already know what impact does. It does beautiful header banners, right? You don't necessarily need to navigate through these images because they're just there for accent, and the data that's on top is gonna always be there. So there's no use to animate that. I don't think that's just really not needed at all. Impact can do that. I mean, you also don't necessarily need the little bullets to navigate between images because again, all these images are there for is just accents, right? They serve no other purpose than making the site look nice. And then up at the top, so obviously in this area up at the top, we have some key data. I'm assuming this is like the hours that they're open. Here's the contact info, and here's their address, right? And then below that, we have a menu, that kind of, a very simple menu. I think this is very nice, right? This is a very nice setup. Up at the top, obviously, this is just a simple 4-column stack that has, an icon. And then here's inside this column is a 2-column maybe that has an image and some text data. Same thing here for the other ones. And obviously these link to the, call us now or email us, or that links to our contact page. Okay, so that's pretty simple. And all this is just going to be, if we're using impact, it's just going to be in the all slides content, probably using something like target or a position swatch or something like that to make it go up to the top. And in terms of the gradient background, yeah, it's just so this is just a, this entire thing here, it could be inside of a 1-column or a container, and that just has a background gradient, right? That goes from a solid color blue to transparent. There are a million gradient generation tools out there. I linked to a few of them on Weaverspace. And then, if you're using Foundation 6, you just use those gradient tools to create the gradient that you want of this, which is just, again, a solid color blue to a fully transparent version of that color. And that will give you this effect that you want there. Right, so that kind of deals with the banner. I think this particular site has a lot of elements we don't need, like, the navigation between slides, these little bullet things. They aren't needed here. And also some of the background images don't really work. This layout here, this is another pretty simple one, right? This is either, there's several different ways. There's always, more than one way to cut a pie or cut a cake or kill a cat or skin a cat, however you want to call it. There's all kinds of phrases around the world for this. There's a lot of ways to do this. You can either use Columns Pro that has a 4-column, and then each column has its own different colors, shade of blue. And then basically what you would do is at the top here, when you build out this column, okay. Oh, wait, I got this new tool. Let me try this new tool out. Okay. So when we build out one of these columns, okay, essentially what you're going to do is this little icon here, you're going to build it as if it's inside this box, right? And it's just above the header here, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to apply a negative margin to this icon. And what that will do is that will shift it up, okay? So that's going to shift it up. I think these are shifted a little bit too much, to be honest with you. I think the amount that it's in should be the amount that it's actually out, right? That's my personal preference there. So yeah, this is a really simple layout to do. I am working on some new templates for Foundation 6 that actually do exactly that. It has one of these little card layouts where I actually have a picture, like a contact card, where this is actually an image of a person, right? Now you might be wondering, how do we do this on hover? That hover effect, yeah, that could be a little tricky. You could potentially that could just be an SVG that you're animating on hover. You know, maybe look at for some SVGs that do something like that. This particular one, I mean, you could easily add similar effects just by using some swatches with hover effects on backgrounds. So you can easily just do a hover effect on the background, and you can also on hover maybe affect the SVG fill color or stroke color on hover. So it wouldn't be the exact same thing, but you could get really close. You could do some really interesting stuff there. You can even do there's all kinds of other, you know, kind of widget stacks out there that do various, you know, hover effects and cool little effects and stuff like that. There's so many, I don't know what all of them do. There's tons of them out there. So, yeah. The question here is, how do you make this as you scroll down? I missed that. Actually, once we hit a particular point, this menu became sticky, right? So there's a couple ways to do that. So I saw someone mention Chroma by Tav. Can definitely do that. Okay. You can also, in Foundation 6, you can make this particular menu sticky, and then you can actually style it a particular way when it's sticky. So when it's sticky, you can make it so that it's, you know, white with black text. And then when it's not sticky, it's basically transparent background with white text, right? So that's 100% doable out of the box with Foundation 6. Something like Chroma would give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of maybe where on the page it's going to get stuck and stuff like that. But yeah, you could achieve that with, again, Chroma or the sticky stack in Foundation 6, or there could be a bunch of other things in out there as well. I think Tav has one called Pin. I have another one called Spider that is pretty rudimentary, but it could do the job. But yeah, Chroma or Sticky are probably the two that I would recommend you look at to accomplish that menu thing. All right, so if you look this particular container here, right? So we basically, this section here, this entire section right there, kind of starts. Just curious, do you guys see this little? I tried this new app that like lets me draw on the screen. Are you guys seeing that? Just let me know if you're seeing that. So yeah, let me know. Cool, you guys are seeing that. Good. First time I've used it. I actually literally bought that like 20 minutes ago because I thought it would be cool for this demo. So this is a particular section, right? So this section here is just a container, okay? And as you notice, this container here, it just has a background image of this baby blue, and it looks like it actually goes all the way down to the bottom of the page, right? So that's just and it looks, yeah, it's fixed, or it's kind of using some sort of parallax effect, maybe. Or is it scrolling? Yeah. You know, that is just a background image. It looks like it is kind of fixed. Maybe it has some sort of parallax effect on it. So that effect is inside this one container, right? Oops, hold on, wrong keyboard shortcut. Now inside of that container, again, we have, I changed the color of my outlines. Hold on, let's go back to like a red color so it's easier to see. Okay, so inside of that container, we then have this Columns Pro or block grid or whatever, right? That contains this 4-column thing. Each column could have its own background color, and we talked about how to get these icons and shift them up using negative margins. Okay, and then below that, we just have this is just a simple 2-column layout. There's nothing fancy here at all, right? It's just a 2-column that has some content, some text content, an image for the signature, okay, and then another image in the sidebar, right? And then below this is just a simple container that has an inner shadow, okay? That inner shadow gives it that inset look. It kind of stands out from, there's no other thing that uses that inset look. I'm not particularly sold on that in this design, but it could work, right? And then this is just some text content. Obviously, another big thing in this site design is the text that they used, right? So they're definitely using a unique text that is, you know, unique to the brand, right? So it's a very readable. They have different. I'm not sure if it's the same font or not for the text and the headers, but obviously headers are a big thing. Okay, and that down at the bottom, it's really simple. We just have a 3-column stack that contains some text data, an icon, and another text data. One thing to note that this particular icon, on my screen, at least, I'm on a Retina display. This is blurry. I mean, that is pixelated as heck. So make sure that, especially small assets like this, I mean, if you put in a double resolution of what you need, because it's small, it's not really going to affect you. And this could be an SVG, actually. That would be great if this could be an SVG. That way it would look crystal sharp and clear on all devices, including Retina displays. So yeah, I think this logo up here with the dog and the cat, and even this text, that should be an SVG. And then you can just load the same exact SVG here and here and here. That we can look. You can leverage browser cache, right? Well, actually, this would be different because this one's just the animal. Okay, but yeah, hopefully that helps. I'm not going to go through every page on this site. I have a lot of other pages we want to go through, but this is a pretty simple layout. This, again, just another kind of a grid with an image on top. I kind of showed you guys how to do these icons, right? So these icons here, this is just a bunch of probably badges, to be honest with you. It could just be maybe a badge with an image that then maybe this is just in a container or a block grid that then has a negative margin on the entire block grid that brings those things up, right? Yeah. And in terms of dynamically loading this data, this is just screaming out for me for something like Total CMS, right? For me, that you can, add in all of these doctors. I assume these are all vets, or whatever a nurse vet is. That's who all these are. Each one's a blog post. Maybe these little images here are tags. We've had a few posts on Weaverspace on how to customize tags, images or colors of things based on the actual tag that's added to a post. Okay, well, in this case, it would be a doctor, right? So that would work here. And we had that dynamic loading as you were scrolling down the page. Total CMS already does all that for you. So this just seems like a no-brainer for Total CMS here. In terms of these sections being broken out into, I assume these are like categories. Maybe this is doctor and this is something else, right? I'm can't read German, but these are probably just categories, and these are just going to be separate blog lists that filter based on a category or something like that, right? Pretty simple. Yeah, I think this is definitely a Total CMS. Interesting, this menu kind of completely changes up here a little bit, from the header, and I think that's okay. You don't need that splash screen on every page. Here's another layout. Okay, this is an interesting one where you think, oh, this is just a cutout, right? This is actually cool. I'm glad I went to this page. Okay, so we have this little, trying to get my little tool to work. It's just slow. All right, this little doodad right there, right? So how do we do that? Essentially all this is so we have our little circle, okay, that has our icon, and this is just a fat border added to it. And then guess what? A negative margin is used to pull it up on top of the image. So all it is just a button with a fat border on it that it has a negative margin to bring it above the image. So in actuality, I'm not sure exactly if that maybe they're doing this differently on this site. I'm not going to analyze how they do it, right? That's how I would do it, right? Essentially, this button exists below the image, and then we're using a negative margin to pull it up over the image. And to get that kind of the separation, this cool effect where it looks like the image is cut out, it's not. It's just a border. And that border goes all the way around. You just don't see it down here because it's white, and so is the site background, right? A lot of web design is just optical illusions, right? We'll see that on a bunch of websites all throughout today. It's all just an optical illusion. There's no magic going on here. There isn't like some special CSS that cuts out a circle in an image so you can put in a button. No, it's just a button with a fat white border that is brought up using a negative margin to overlap an image. And that white border just looks cool because it bleeds into the background here. Just to prove that to you, that's exactly how this is done. Well, I'm not going to do this on every site, but just to show you. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that button. Where is it? Somewhere there. See, look. Oh, that one doesn't have, that's not the border. Where's the border? I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Interesting. Not sure. It's a problem looking at code. I mean, people do so many different things. But yeah, that's how I would do it. Never mind. It's just a white border. You can get the same exact effect. Not sure if that's, it looks like he might be doing something slightly different here. But like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So there we go. That's exactly how you do that. A lot of these are pretty similar. This is just a section with a nice image background. Some of these, you know, look at the contrast. Like this one's kind of hard to read because it's on that white area. So when you're redesigning this site, Matthias, I would definitely check out the contrast. Maybe use some different images here, or you know, change up the colors or something like that. So some of that doesn't really happen. Okay. When you use a negative margin, will the content below fill the space? Yes. Great question. When you use a negative margin, it pulls everything else up with it. So great question. Yes. I've talked about negative margins on quite a few live streams. Hopefully you can look at that. And I will try to get those new templates shipped this week that use that, you know, that same exact effect where I pull the little circular image up and whatnot. Okay. Yeah, there we go. I guess why not? We'll look at the last page on this site. It's a pretty simple one, probably. This just has a map. There's a gazillion map stacks. This is obviously a 2-column layout. Down here, we just have some 2 columns for each one that has an icon and some data, right? Down here is pretty simple. Yeah, lots of data, lots of text. No one's ever going to read any of this. Funny that there's a contact page. There's no contact form. Kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe that's apparent with some of the text, but you know, I don't know. I'd have a little contact form here. It seems, but obviously, I mean, maybe they just want people to call. So if they want people to call or email, I'd have that a little bit more prominent. But yeah, okay. Or else don't call this a contact page. Maybe where to find us or something like that. I don't know. Minor thing though, because it is up here on the top of every single page. So, but cool. All right, let's move on. We spent a lot more time on this site. We spent like 20 minutes on this site. But hopefully you guys got some benefit out of that. Let's see. Hold on. Matthias has a question since this is his site. I think you have been, you have to put the whole content underneath the image inside the stack and give it a negative margin. Yes. So, yep. Maybe at the end, I'll show you the example if we have time of the templates that I'm going to ship this week, or a couple of them. Okay. Let's move on. As you see, I have a huge list of sites to go through today. This site is awesome, and it is extremely simple, right? It's nice. As you see, the menu is sticky, so once it scrolls up, it kind of locks to the top. Again, you could do that with Chroma or the sticky stack. But if you look at this site, the content is like, it's just one column, right? Really what makes this site is the imagery in the background. It's just, it's unique. It really is cohesive. If you notice, all of the images on this page have a nice texture to it, and they all match, right? So obviously some of them have a clear break like this one does between the sections, okay? But I hope what I wanted to show you with this site is just how you could have an extremely beautiful site, right? An extremely beautiful site with something so simple, right? And imagery here is key, right? I mean, it's beautiful imagery. They're just background images added to containers, you know, or a column or whatever. The text here is even all centered. They have a nice quirky little font because there is minimalism to this site. The font really helps, right? Because it kind of gives it another design quirky element to it as well, right? If you notice, the headers are big. You can use quirkier fonts with headers, especially because they can be larger, right? But the body text you see here, some of this is a little bit, maybe contrast, you know, could be a little bit better, but all in all, it's still pretty readable. well, if you read the language, I have no idea what this actually says. I'm not even sure which language this is in. I assume it's Spanish, I think. Not sure. But yeah, I guess yoga is the same in Spanish and English. I guess yoga is everywhere. It is Spanish, Mexico. Okay. So yeah, this is just another beautiful site. And what really makes this site beautiful is the images, right? So images really, really help make your site just absolutely gorgeous. You can take an average everyday site, and if you just replace the images with something beautiful, it'll make the site 100 times better. And not only that, the logo is actually quite attractive as well, right? So that gives it kind of another splash of color. But here, the key here is also the colors used in the images, right? They're very, very similar tone. They kind of match. This is kind of interesting where it kind of fades. Now, if you look at this trick, you can kind of see it's a little bit trickery. If we scroll into, let me use my. You can see that there's a line. This is actually two different sections. Okay, but the designer was clever in that he masked that a lot by taking a similar texture that's on this coaching section, and he adds it and fades it into the bottom of this section. Okay, I mean, if you want to get really picky, you can definitely see it. Like here, you can kind of see a line. But I mean, all in all, I mean, as you're just perusing down this page, you're not going to really notice that. It looks like it flows really nice, especially right here in the middle. It looks really, really clean. Like you can barely, even when I zoom in, you can barely notice that, right? So super clean there. The transition's great. And he just does that by manipulating these images so that even up here, if you notice here, he took the texture from some of this image and he put it at the top of this one and kind of faded it a little bit, right? So while there is a line, okay, it's minimized by that effect. And all that was done outside of any web design tool. This is done in Photoshop or whatever your favorite photo app is, right? So now this particular one, he decided to just have a clean break, right? Because these are very contrasting colors, very different sections, right? So fading those in just probably would have looked weird, right? But yeah, I think this is just an amazing website. The font choices are great. I love the quirky, larger header fonts because the site is so minimal. That works really, really well. And of course, the background images and the technique with fading in those to make two different images look like it's one, right? Really, really, really great here. To be honest, I haven't really looked at many of the other pages. We can just peruse through some of the other pages. I think it's just we're going to see a lot of the same stuff, right? If you look up here at the top, yellow might not be great because of this yellow, white on yellow. But if you see, he does kind of add some contrast up here where he bleeds in more solid colors so that the menu is more visible. That could potentially be a little bit better or maybe a little darker color on this particular page, but that's okay. Here's another transition thing, right? Where he kind of adds this kind of quirky kind of cutout effect to kind of bleed into the white background. Right, so it's just another way of doing that. Here he goes from a solid white background to this colored background or this image, and it fades in. Well, that fade is just done in Photoshop on this image, where he just adds a gradient fade at the top of this image, so that when it's displayed on the website, it goes from white into the image seamlessly. Right, so really, really beautiful work on this site. A lot of it, but a lot of it is just this really talented, great image work. And I love if all the images throughout the entire site have this similar texture, this filter, Instagrammy, colory filter on it, right? I think it's beautiful. I really, really, really enjoy that. Oh wow, it's just done with color matching. Yep, exactly. Just doing color matching. Again, a lot of this is, you look at this and you go, wow, how is this done? But then it's kind of like a magic trick where it's like, when you know the trick, you're like, really? That's all it is? Right? And yes, that's all it is. Okay. Let's look at this site is really clean. And it has some very unique image work here as well. I love this site. The text is very bold. It is, extremely readable. And the imagery work in this site is pretty awesome. Right. It's very abstract. So he took, I think these are actually SVGs, where I believe these were probably, I think I looked at this site a long time ago and why I bookmarked it. These were JPEGs that I believe were saved as SVG images. You know what? I'm not even going to try to take up time to look at all that. Okay. And it just gives this really unique look. And again, because they're SVGs, they're going to look crystal sharp, clear. Now they're rather large SVGs because they are detailed. Okay. But they're still, smaller than a JPEG. They're interesting. And yeah, this site design is very, it is modern in that it's hard lines, right? So we have up at the top, we have this banner image that takes up almost 100%, right? We have this white section here, and then we have a lot of these angled sections that we see all around the web, right? And we could do this with, there's several stacks out there. I have one called seams, where you can do these angled or curved kind of edges. For this site, I mean, the fonts are very crisp and, very defined lines. The contrast with the background's very nice. I don't think anything here is really all that tricky, right? This is just a one column. We scroll down here. This is just a one column with a header, right? Here is another one column. Here, we have 3 columns, right? But as you see here, it's just very crisp and clear. Here is a blog that is done in another 3-column layout. Everything here is just, again, very, very clean. I really love this site. This one, a really, really beautiful one. Here's some work. Here's an About Us page. And again, similar graphics. If you notice this, they're kind of like these abstracted artwork. So it kind of really brings the site together. The site uses the same colors throughout the site. He has a defined color palette with this green and the red. His grays are kind of like have this kind of a bluish tint, I believe, to them a little bit, right? And then his blacks, right? So I mean, they're very, the site just goes very well. I think he does a lot to stay with his color scheme. There are different colors that mesh well together, and yeah, it's just a solid modern website here from Leapworks. Cool. Let's keep going. This one is, you're gonna be ready to, I think this is the one. This is an amazingly beautiful website. Okay. Joe, what are you doing to read the code? That's just the web inspector. Yep. You can turn that on in Safari preferences, just developer console. And once you enable it, you just do Command Option I, and that opens up the code. Okay. So here's just another beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous website. All the colors here. It's a very dark website, right? But a lot of the colors really mesh, right? Again, beautiful imagery. We start off with beautiful images up at the top of this full page hero header. There's many ways to do this. Impact is a very popular one. You have the menu up at the top, which is an interesting one. It opens up in a light box. And then they even have some dynamic content here, and links to all the various pages. Okay. The light box is an interesting choice because that kind of menu would work great on mobile and desktop, so you don't need to worry about trying to transform a menu. Right. As we scroll down, we'll see that we continued a similar color scheme for this restaurant, where we have these darker colors and kind of the browns that kind of contrast with it. This is obviously an easy layout that's just simple. These look like it's some sort of gallery stack that you can open up, right? So that's just an image gallery in a 2-column layout, and we just have a simple image in the background. We scroll down to, now we have this beautiful image in here. You could do this. This is kind of just, there is really no purpose to this section other than displaying this video, right? And having it as an accent. Again, the colors, because it is from the restaurant, it's very, the colors mesh well. You could do this with something like Impact, right? You could just have an Impact here. Impact can display a video. You can display it as a full, is it full height? It's close to full height, right? Of the browser window, and it could just be a section. Here we have, a list of authors and resident chefs. Okay, let's see. Culinary art finds its roots for the talented chefs' passions. I guess these are authors of cookbooks. I'm not sure. Okay, but yeah, this is just a nice slider that shows all the various authors. Something like this could be done with Total CMS, right? Where each of these are an author, right? And if you click on this, I assume it takes you to some sort of web page. Yep, takes you to a page that has data about that author and other authors, right? Cool. Does that have any content? No. Okay. Let's go back. And then we have the 2 resident chefs. These ones don't look like it's in a slider. There's only 2, but again, this could be done with Total CMS as well. So that way, if you have multiple, it'll just keep showing them. So you see, a lot of these really aren't complex layouts. There isn't a lot here that is genius. A lot of it is just good design choices, great color choices, good fonts that are crisp, easy to read. Imagery is key. I'll say that probably a million times today. Okay. And then the colors of the images go with the other colors chosen for the website. Right. And if you have images like on the yoga site before this one, if you have images that the colors might not mesh, Photoshop them. Right. I mean, you can make those images look better by Photoshopping them, adding some filters or colors to them to make them go with the website. Cool. We're gonna keep going. As you see, that was what site was a site from Davide. He might have a few in here. This one might be Davide as well. I'm not sure. I save these whenever I find a beautiful website. Here's another one that's it's nice, right? If you notice, one thing I noticed here is the rounded edges. This kind of like a card layout to this site where each kind of section has its own little card. And one thing that's key here is the spacing between them is the same. The corner radius is the same. Okay, that all those little details are very important to make the site. You don't want this section to be square and then you use round corners down here. You don't want that, right? So making sure that spacing on the outside between every single column, the round corners, okay, all that is very key. And that was one thing I loved about this site that I wanted to bring out. I think this sort of grid layout is very nice. This isn't rocket science. This is just a container. This image is just a background image. It's not a solid color over here with some image over here. It's just a background image, right? And then this could either be, some people, you might use this as a 2-column layout and leave the first column empty. I probably would just use a 1 column and set it to be, 50% width aligned to the right or something like that, right? Down here, we have a 2-column layout where we have some hover effects where we can actually, on hover, it adds probably maybe some padding or some margin or something like that to kind of give you that little effect. It's just a few pixels, but it works. It's very effective. Okay. And one thing you could do if you really, really wanted to match the height between these two and this one would be on this first column here to use the vertical grid. And then you could set it to be 50-50 or something like that. Or 60-40 or 66-33 or something like that, right? So that the two of these would match the height of this one. Or conversely, you can actually match the height of this to these two. Okay, something like that. So that's definitely possible. Something that you could do as well. And again here, it's just another beautiful background image. Right? The layouts here are not rocket science. I mean, it's just a simple layout that on hover he probably adds. This is probably done with maybe my filter stack or something like that. You could do that with my filter stack, or blog does something like that. If you were to do something like this with blog, just really nice, clean. Again, the color palettes go well together. Up here it has this pink that kind of stands out a little bit more. And it looks like it's a similar, shade of pink or red from the logo. So it does go well, right? Again, very clean site. There over here in the menu, might be wondering, this is just a hover. Again, you're just adding maybe some padding on hover to this menu. Really, really simple stuff. Okay. Okay, man. Let's see. Oh, let's see what this one is. This is another really, just a modern, clean kind of business site, right? And a nice slider when you get to the page. There are a lot of sliders out there that kind of do, effects with animations. If you use Impact, this could be possible with Impact. Impact has the ability to, manage animations per slide. But the backgrounds here, again, these are images, right? These are just backgrounds of the slide that are images. There's nothing fancy here. A lot of the fancy work was done in Photoshop. Right? This image here with the little with the accents and the angles and the gradients and all these cool textures, that is not done in the web design tool. That is just Photoshop, right? And obviously that same theme is brought to every image to bring them together, to make them recognized as this brand, right? You see the colors here are red, white, and blue throughout. It's very, noticeable. Everything, the same shade of red for here, the same shade of red for the button, the same shade of red for the headers, right? He's just using the same colors to really bring the site together. One thing I noticed, these would be really good at SVGs. These are definitely PNGs. I don't know if you guys see it, but it's definitely a little pixelated. It's probably a PNG. Oops. It's probably a PNG. It's a little pixelated on my screen, but okay. Another thing here, look, he's bringing those similar textures that he used in these images up here, and he's just kind of throwing them in this background. Instead of just having a white area, he's just tossing some of these images here as a background image, right? Just again to bring all that together. The triangle, these geometric shapes, he's just adding them as background images. Okay. Here we have another section, like it's just an accent image. We scroll down to a blue section. Again, similar blue. Here we have very contrasting colors. Okay. We animate on scroll. There's a lot of animation stacks out there. The Animate stack that comes with Foundation CS Foundation would do that. I have some really cool animation stacks coming out. But you can do that effect. They only do it on the initial load. But yeah. Here, again, we see this image. Those same geometric shapes are used on this image, again, to bring it together, right? I wouldn't even be surprised if this red here is definitely pulled from this red. There's various shades of red in here, but it goes, right? We have the red, we have the blue, okay, in the images. So, again, another very clean site that is very well done. The layouts here aren't rocket science. Again, a lot of it is just having some beautiful imagery work and manipulating those images to make them work with the site design. Again, here's another use of these geometric images. Instead of making this just a simple blue background, right? He brought in these geometric shapes that he uses all over the place. That is the unifying feature. Okay, cool. Where was I? Man, I'm gonna have to start going a little faster. Okay. This is a one-page website, kind of like a CV or kind of a resume site where this is just kind of a news about this actress. I believe she's an actress. And just here's a 3-column layout. Looks like it has a blog. We can load more content. Right? You scroll down. There's some information. Again, beautiful imagery, beautiful colors. Some photos. Looks really nice. What I like here is I don't know if this was intended, but here he has this. The gallery here goes full width to the site. Right? It goes full width, 4 wide, and if you go down here, it goes 3 wide. So it changes things up a little bit. Right? It doesn't make it monotonous where it's like, here's 4 wide. Down here, here's another thing that's 4 wide, right? So he's breaking up these layouts a little bit to kind of make it different. Here he's going from an image background, which is very abstract. It's probably an image of her, right? But it's covered by the gallery, and that's okay. And then he goes from an image background to a solid color background, right? So, it gives these sections very defined. He has different layouts here. Another clean layout for the store. But another key thing in this site, if you notice, is just a lot of clean white space, great, beautiful imagery, contrasting colors, and yeah, you can make beautiful websites. Okay, here's another beautiful site that I think is another very interesting one with choice of, is that oh, that's an image. Rats. I was hoping that was going to be a font. Yeah, it looks a little blurry. That would be really cool if they used a font for this. That would make it crystal sharp, or an SVG at least, so that it would be really crystal clear. That's too bad. That would have been a nice touch up here. Again, imagery is beautiful. The colors look great. Obviously, this is showcasing a product. You know, and if you notice, a lot of them have like this texture, this abstract texture to kind of, even though those images, a lot of these images have different colors and whatnot, that texture kind of brings them together. Okay. Super clean layouts here. You know, this could be a gallery or a blog. This is the product of the month. Just, you know, kind of a 2-column layout with some buy now buttons. You know, a map down here at the bottom. Up there, it looks like their Instagram feed broke. That happens to a lot of people, don't they? So yeah, this is just a beautiful site here. Let's go to one product page. Oh, that's just I'm not sure. We'll go to products. Just a list of products, right? I mean, this is just super clean, simple, you know, a nice looking website. Some of these, like here, I think they may be messed up. Some of those have backgrounds, some don't. I would make sure that's all unified, either no background or a background. I would definitely advise that. But again, another great website. Okay, let's keep going here, side by side. Which one was this? Oh, this is a really cool one, actually. This is a freaking slick website. I have to say, I like this one. I'm not sure where I stumbled upon this one, but yeah, it's really slick. Right here on page load, this side by side. Unfortunately, it does contrast and it's kind of hard to read. But cool geometric shapes. You'll notice that those kind of animated on page load. And we scroll down here, we just have great images, clean lines here. Everything he chose up. This one, like this one's square, this one's rounded. I would definitely rethink that. Make sure that, you know, consistency like that other site I was talking about. You know, some interesting seams going on here. You know, there's several other stacks to do that. You could do that, something similar to this with seams and other stacks. But again, very clean lines. You know, it's very I think a lot of it's black and white minus the pictures, right? You know, I just think this just a very, I love this up here. This banner up at the top is very, very nice, beautiful. I loved a lot of the accents that he has here. If you notice up here, you're like, oh, look at that. It's kind of a funky little thing. It's just a dotted border, probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 pixels, a dotted border at the top and the bottom. Just kind of, and I think he does that in a few places on this site. Makes it very interesting. We did that actually, I think, showed that on a live stream, I think a month or two ago, where this one website was using really fat dotted borders. They made it very, very interesting. So a very simple, you know, accent to use. This could be done. I'm not sure what this, you know, what tools used to build out this this banner with these animations, but it's pretty cool. You know, you could probably do something like that with Hype. You know, Hype, the HTML5 app. These are pretty simple layouts. This is just, you know, you could easily do this with something like Caption in Foundation 6, or over here, just a background image, and you could just position this with a position swatch or target or something like that over the image. Really easy to do. Same thing here. This could just be like a card layout of this particular one. There's a lot of different card stacks, but you could just have a header. You may even do this with just, you know, 1-column stacks. This is just a 1 column with a black. This is just an image, and this is just a 1 column with white, right? Not rocket science here. Same thing over here. It's just a 1 column with gray, an image, 1 column with black or dark gray, right? a lot of this is not difficult to use. This is just a block grid. If you notice on hover, there's a shadow. You can easily do that with a swatch. You can add shadows on hover with swatches, give that cool little effect. And that's all that does, is just adds a hover shadow on all these. Beautiful page. Love it. Let's keep going. Okay. Another pretty good page here. I didn't really get the colors here. They don't really mesh. It's one thing, maybe this could be changed a little bit. I don't think those colors really mesh with what I see on page load, right? But maybe as you scroll down, those colors will be used. Interesting little, there's a lot of animations on this page as they come scroll in. There's a lot of stacks that do that, Animate in Foundation 6. But again, nice usage of imagery. Okay, these are beautiful, crisp, I'm assuming SVG images, okay, in here. Some of them are, the layout here, this one's slightly larger. Oh, I think it's because it has this. If you were to use, something like Foundation's column stacks for this, you could align all these to the top, so that way all the images line up. Right now, it looks like they're lined up in the middle, maybe, which is probably not what you want. It's because this one has 3 lines of text, this one has 2, and that one has 2. So you'd want to make sure that these columns were aligned to the top, so that all these images lined up, because they're all the same size. Scrolling down here, we have this diagonal line. We've talked about how to potentially do that. This one here, that's an interesting one. It could just be, I don't know, how could you do that? I have to think about how you. And I've been completely ignoring the questions. Sorry about that. I see Davide. Yep, I showed off a couple Davide sites. So you're welcome, Davide. Thank you for making amazing stuff. So how could you do this? Maybe like I don't know if you threw it. Maybe like a divider that is dashed and you, threw it in target and rotated it or something like that. I don't know. That's an interesting one. But if this section here, if you notice, it has a cool little thing where it like navigates these little arrows. And that's all built into the background image. So he was just really clever when he made this section to plan out this background image so that it fit in this area. And he has these little arrows that go from each section to each section, and they're just baked into the background image. So it was probably a lot of work to make sure that those lined up properly, especially even when you go responsive. I'm just curious. It looks like he has a different background image when it goes mobile that doesn't have the arrows, right? So it makes sense. You can do that with the background swatch or a lot of other tools. And again, here's another example of instead of using a solid color, he uses this textured background, right, to give it a more organic feel. Okay. Love these little things here. Again, just this could be done with a 2-column stack. And then the second column, you just apply a negative margin to bring that text to overlap the text that's in the first column. Again, negative margins to the win for overlapping content. Okay. That's done on all of these. It's just negative margin on each of these to overlap the words on top of these numbers. And even though there's words on top of letters on top of numbers, you can still read it because the colors contrast, right? And they also contrast with the background, which is really important. We keep scrolling down. This is just I love a lot about this site. Here's an interesting little discoverable little sideways container that you can scroll horizontally. Another one, here we have an angled background to give some variation. Still having clean edges, but just some variation using seams. Here looks like he has a slider that comes in. It's nice. Yeah. Again, just very simple layouts. Oh, here's another thing I love about sites is just finding these little kind of Easter eggs. Like one like this, where it just kind of hovers over. You can get some more additional information about, I'm assuming this is his web design services. Okay. Another great little animation comes in. And here's those colors. I didn't really see these colors used many else throughout the page. So not sure who the designer is, but yeah, something to think about. Maybe they're used here. Okay, cool. So that's another beautiful one. Header, probably you could do that with impact. Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Need some water here. You can't get much simpler than this layout of this page. But it is an extremely beautiful website. Why? Again, super clean, defined colors, great fonts, lots of white space to breathe, and good imagery. And it's just a header, a little bit of text, and a button, right? And it is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Less sometimes is more, and this is a perfect example of that, right? Yeah, I don't think I need to explain how a lot of this was done. I mean, it's just either background images or normal images. Most of them are just are background images because you have text on top. That's probably the easiest way to accomplish that, right? But you can't get much simpler than this, and it's extremely effective. Again, similar things I talked about is the border, making sure that it's consistent everywhere. Looks like the gaps are consistent between each section, right? Oops, I clicked on something. Cool. Let's keep going. Here's an interesting, another interesting design that was done pretty recently. A friend showed me this one. It was due to COVID and getting people out to local businesses and ordering and stuff like that, and another super clean design, right? I mean, just really clean. This is actually done by LeapWorks as well, so you can kind of see some of that similar design language used on LeapWorks here, where super clean lines, everything. The font is large, easy to read. He adds some quirkiness though, right? I mean, he adds like this little background highlight, which is interesting. It has that gradient, which gives it a little bit of a pop. And again, it's not straight, right? It kind of has these curves, kind of gives it that quirkiness. Okay. Big buttons, easy to read. Same colors are used throughout the site. If you look, even this little chat widgets down here, same colors as this search now button. Right. So again, just really good, clean site. No complicated, crazy layouts here. It's just really easy to read, great imagery, that is clean and attractive. This one I thought was fun. I have no idea what this site is about. I have no idea what language it's in, but it's really cool. Here's an example of also bringing an image that probably had a bunch of crazy colors that didn't really go with the site, but making the image fit with the site design, right? Adding that colored filter that uses the same blue, right, as the site. He also added some sort of, kind of pixelated filter to it, or this, a dot, kind of printed look, which I think just looks great. It kind of makes it look old school. Obviously, the picture itself is kind of makes you feel like it's old, right? And the colors here, if you notice, there actually isn't white on this site. It's actually an off-white, right? Kind of a cream color with this blue that just looks great. And he uses that same effect on all these images, right? He just overlays it with the same color blue, gives it that kind of that printed look, and it just works. Again, the layouts here are extremely simple. I mean, most of them are they're just one column. They're not even 2-column layouts. So this site on mobile is going to look just as good as it does on. There's no crazy changing of layouts or hiding or showing things because it's just a single column, but it's beautiful. Very, very well done. Hey, the reading corner. It's 12:30. I've hit my hour. I've hit the hour mark. This one, let's go on. I thought this is a pretty nice site. It's just clean. It's kind of fun. The colors are again, fun, used all over the place. Maybe some contrasting colors would be nice. Maybe this header could be a different color than these ones, so that it kind of they actually stand out from each other a little bit. But just a nice clean site of children's books that you can just kind of hover through all the various options. There's a lot of different carousel stacks out there that you can do this with, but I don't know. I just thought this site was pretty well done. I thought it was clean, well done. I like the colors here. Little Easter eggs when you hover over, you kind of get a little accent color. I just thought this was a nice, clean website. So yeah, there we go. The Vancouver Zoo. Someone sent this in actually, and yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. Up at the top here, we have here. Let me just make this a little smaller, a little wide. Up at the top, maybe this is out on the side. Maybe I'd bring it in a little bit. Maybe center these a little bit better, so there wasn't this awkward middle space in the middle. But all in all, I think the website is pretty well made. I do like it. Here's the use of gradients that kind of it uses the same. So it kind of gives an interesting effect there when you use multiple of them, where you're going from a lighter green to a darker green on each one. And if you look at, I looked through a bunch of pages here. I liked a lot of the pages here. This is a beautiful page, right? I like this. The imagery, again, is really, really nice. When you hover over it, you get more data. You could do something similar to this with Total CMS. Or, I'm sure there's other stacks out there that let you, hover and do this stuff on a manual layout. So like if we went to Red Panda, there we go. Really large, easy to read text. I don't think there's any complicated layouts here. It's just a clean website. Again, with decent imagery, and good color, keeping to your colors, is important. Uses a lot of greens in here. Maybe you could splash in one more accent color in here. I think would be nice. But yeah, all in all, a great site. Okay, I'm gonna go back to another Davide one because I didn't want to keep doing Davide sites. So we'll do one more because I know I skipped this one on purpose. But this one I have to show you because it's absolutely gorgeous. Man, this site is a stunner. Again, what is it? It's imagery. The imagery is it's beautiful. The font choice, again, clean, easy to read. Okay, up at the top, you could probably do this with, maybe this is probably just a solid background, maybe in a container or something like that. And this is just a slider with text, right? Pretty beautiful. Another thing, another great use of imagery with some color transparencies on top to make the text. These are SVG images, I assume, right? Because they really pop, or they're close to it because they look great on my Retina display as well. Okay. Here's a really great horizontal container. We've seen that on a couple websites here. Horizontal containers are kind of a way of displaying lots of data that users can see more just by simply scrolling. These work really great across desktop all the way to mobile because people are kind of used to that horizontal scrolling now, even on mobile devices. Okay. Beautiful use of seams here. Sitting on top of another just a fixed image background in a container or something similar to that, with another slider that that does testimonials. Beautiful. Here's another block grid. You can either do split grid. This actually, I'm pretty sure this is actually Total CMS here. So this is using Total CMS blog that dynamically brings in this. Again, another key here is this beautiful imagery, right? If these images were, shot by your grandma, well, your grandma might be an amazing photographer, but you know what I mean? If they were just shot by an amateur and like someone with a point and shoot that didn't know what they were doing, this site wouldn't be as compelling, right? It wouldn't want you to go to all these locations, right? So yeah, imagery is really, really key. This is a beautiful website. Very, very, very well done. Okay. I could probably go through this site for an hour and a half alone. There's a lot of really amazing layouts here. I think if we go to one of these, it wasn't this page. There was a page that had like this filter search tool. This is a masterpiece. Yeah, just a beautiful. This is like various steps in your process, and you can choose various things, right? Yeah, it's just a masterful design for a form. I know this uses Peekaboo. A lot of stuff in Peekaboo 2 was done because of this. So yeah, really, really cool stuff here. Let's go to, all right, we're getting down to the end. This is a pretty newly launched website, and I know Wolf is here today. Again, a lot of the same things. A lot of white space, a lot of breathing room, clean, easy to read text, simple layouts, beautiful imagery, using the same color scheme in the images. If you notice, the images have all the yellow, so everything is connected. Okay, great images using SVGs. There's a lot of Easter eggs on this site. When you hover over, like, for example, you hover over the light bulb and it blinks, right? There's a lot of really, really great imagery here. A lot of little Easter eggs that you can find just by kind of exploring the site. The site is fun. It is clean. And it's just very, very, very well done. Actually, Wolf is going to be giving a talk at the conference this year. So is Davide. And yeah, you can learn how to build amazing websites like they do. Yeah, really, really. Actually, I know. So this is a really cool page. So this page is nice. It's kind of like this grid layout. And if you go on mobile, oh wait, you have to view it on mobile because it uses Agent. If you were to view this site on mobile, basically these uses quick flip, right? So these two, instead of it being a 2-column, it actually shows a quick flip stack, which then will flip between the two sections. And yeah, really, really cool, beautiful design, and I love it. Cool. I think we'll go over one last one, which I thought was a pretty clean design as well. And great use of color. Same color that's in the logo. It's kind of used in the background here. Using some geometric shapes that kind of come down, makes it a little bit different than just a static green area, right? We have some nice imagery down here that brings in that same green color. It integrates it into all of these images. I'm assuming these are SVGs because they look very crisp. Okay. Again, this image down here brings in that same green color, right? So it really brings in, it has other colors, but that green, because if these green checkbox here were orange, this image would look out of place, right? But the imagery was made to look good on this website. Okay. Also, if you look, this line, it's not straight, right? So it's just slightly off, right? So that kind of adds a little bit of interesting. Even if you didn't notice that wasn't straight, it just adds that uniqueness to that site, just by small little tweaks here and there. Okay, again, that beautiful green image again, nice imagery. This one, this image doesn't really fit well. It has this kind of crazy texture, but it's kind of a quirky area. Oh look, it's interesting. Interesting way to do a quote, like a handwritten font. That's actually a font, which is kind of cool. That's interesting. So yeah, interesting way to do a quote is to find some sort of handwritten font. I never even didn't even notice that one before. Ooh, this image is not Retina ready. That's pretty blurry. Anyway, there we go. That's the site. I was kind of gonna go over apple.com just to show you another thing that's just very similar to all the sites that we built, right? Or that we looked at today. Simple layouts. I mean, this is obviously Apple. Everyone thinks Apple's sites are the most beautiful and whatnot. But if you just look at them, again, it's imagery, right? It's It's clean, modern look, great typefaces, good color contrast. Even in this grid, similar, the spacing in between each image is the same, is similar, right? Here you have some alternating layouts where, obviously you're alternating all these different colors and whatnot in image, but all these are images, right? So yeah, up your Photoshop game or Pixelmator or whatever your favorite one is. One thing I wanted to show you, I kind of liked it, is this menu up here right at the top, right? And once you start reaching a certain point, like it kind of navigates and it turns into like this little slider. I thought that was interesting. I do like that. Ideas for that, something like Moving Box. You could do something with Moving Box maybe where, with Moving Box, you could say show a certain number on desktop, and then on mobile, you can change the number that can be displayed, right? And then you can just navigate between them. Kind of similar to that children's books website where it had that horizontal slider. You can change the number of things that are displayed based on the breakpoint. So similar concept here, where you can actually use something like Moving Box or maybe even Horizon or something like that to kind of change or still allow things to be accessible on mobile devices. So really cool. I do have a surprise. So some of you may have guessed it. Okay. But every single website except the very first one and apple.com was built in RapidWeaver. So if you saw a site here that you thought was awesome, well, it's 100% possible because all of the websites, minus that first one and apple.com, were all built using RapidWeaver and stacks. And I believe most of them were probably done in Foundation, combination of Foundation 1 or Foundation 6. So, I don't know if that surprises you at all, but if you saw something that you thought was impossible to do in RapidWeaver, well, it's 100% possible because all of those websites, minus that first one and apple.com, and even that first one, totally doable in RapidWeaver. Apple.com, we even did a video how to build apple.com in 5 minutes. Now, granted, the video is 5 minutes. Obviously, it would take you a little bit longer. But, again, totally possible as well. So, hopefully the lessons that you learned today were, pay attention to your imagery. Make sure that the images that you're using are good quality. For little icons, make sure those are SVGs because those will look great across all devices. Okay. Make sure that the colors matching your images, that you're using colors from your site and your imagery, making sure if you want to do something quirky, kind of make things, look uniform across the site, add similar filters to all your images or some sort of pattern, right? So, consistency is key. So having high quality images that are crystal clear and sharp, and then consistency in terms of how those images are designed is very important. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of today. I'll look to see if I missed anything that was of importance. Joe, I am very cautious of busy websites. Visitors are lazy to read. Yeah, that's true. Visitors are very lazy to read. Seems Norwegian. Quick Flip works well. Yes, it does. Cool. Well, looks like I answered most of the questions. Again, all these sites except the first one and apple.com were done in RapidWeaver. Pretty cool stuff. And yeah, hope you enjoyed today. Again, Weaver Space Summit. If you didn't see all my emails, October 23rd to 25th, we're having 3 days of amazing talks. They're going to be really, really great. We're going to have 6 speakers a day. We're going to have interactive. We're going to actually talk with each other. Like we'll have Zoom hangouts at the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day for a lunchtime break, and at the end of the day. So there's going to be a lot of time. It's not just you sitting in front of your computer, daydreaming about you wish you could do this stuff, right? Or just getting bored watching people talking to you. We interact with each other at this summit. You get to meet your fellow RapidWeaver users. You get to meet me. You get to meet all the speakers during these lunchtime hangouts. You get to interact. We talk about the talks that happened. We get to know each other, see where They're from around the world. There's going to be people from all around the world joining. It is a great time, a lot of fun. I hope to see all of you there. Check it out at summit.weavers.space. Tickets until the end of this week are still $99. Price is going to go up next Monday, so make sure that you get that. Again, summit.weavers.space. And another plug for our Friday Hangouts. Hopefully we'll see you there on Friday. For those that missed last Friday, or there were some Zoom issues last Friday, the Hangout didn't actually end up happening. Fix that. Sorry about that. The meeting will go on same bat time, same bat channel this Friday, Zoom 1:30 p.m. Pacific. That is weavers.space/hangout. So hopefully we will see you guys there. Cool. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you on the Weaver Space community. Post over there, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.